This is day 933 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like a sponsor share or more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please come me directly. Very greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Siman Tuf Reish Chavtes, Sif Chavtes, Tuf Reish Lamed. Okay, I have Tuf Reish Chavtes finally. Lamed base. Tuf Reish Lamed is not so short either. That'd be longer. No. Okay, so Chavtes. Any bundle you put up on top of your schach, they dry it. And they want to change it into schach. It's not enough to undo. It's not. It's ties. The game of the Psulam it's possible to rise from Tasevlom and Asui. If to make the sukkah, it shouldn't come to being on its own. Ain't see about Taram, it's not considered to be making it just by releasing the binds. You have to unbind it. Then you have to shake each and every reed by itself. It should be chain. But if you put it down for the purpose of schach to begin with, it's kosher, it's just a rabbanon xera that you might come to use to put it to situate tasevlom asui. L'chein dai batar bama is the only need to undo the ties, and that's sufficient. Lam mesachim in the sun you can use plank. Shein mecham arbet tvachim which not 4 tvachim wide. We didn't turn mutter. This is the raisa. However, Elisha goes with chachamim. I made the Xera, which we learned about previously, we're not didn't focus on it. You can't go Mali Tikra, person say, what's in Tikra Skapais, what's in this and sitting on the ceiling of my house. Is that possible? That's possible. The rice of the Sukkah Matar of the low base of Shalom Kol Moshe, not your house in the entire year. They were only geyser on those which are 4 tvachim wide. Actually, I'm not sure we had this before. We should understand because most ceilings are 4 tvachim wide and no less than 4 tvachim wide. If you put them on their sides, so they're not 4 tvachim wide, the 4 tvachim becomes the height. Nevertheless, Ness is a possible schach. This blank is possible schach. The whole open should think anywhere where you put it. It becomes like metal skewers. But if it's not 4 tvachim wide, you can use them for schach even if there's polish. That you smooth them, you polish them so that they could be used for some purpose. They're similar to kalim, to vessels. As long as they don't have receptacles. But time of the milsa. The reason is they go off the land and they're not makabatuma because they're simple wooden vessels. Even though pshute kleitz are makabatuma and the apostle is chak moshka savnu, like we wrote previously, and we did say previously, that's when they're wide, very wide. Like tables and tablets of boards of bakers, which use them for absolute purposes. In other words, they use them for significant activities. But not when the less why the Tashish Gomer and William not suitable for absolute activities. Anyway, Makdash is not only suitable for lighter activities. It's very difficult to distinguish, but that's the distinction. But they have an Makabatuma. Kantumas matters the same elu. It's also not shaykh. The tumas matters the tumah of sitting on something. Shalona asu. Shalona asu measures. They're not made for measures. V'lo yichton yeshiva l'tashmishin. It's designated them for sitting or for some other purpose. The michal yeshiva did designate them for sitting. Psulim out the possibility of the raisa. The yichton l'tashmish, and if you designate them for some other activity. And not just suitable for an activity, but you designate them for an activity. So in Rabbanan, the pasuk in Rabbanan, even though they're not for an absolute activity, but for a lighter one. Nevertheless, you designate them for a purpose, for use. And then they become like wide planks. In In the brackets, he says here, to make the plank into something suitable for sitting doesn't work unless you do a maisa. You put it in a place where you need it to be sat on. To me, I'm astonished, says Roshun. Are planks not suitable to sit without any additional fixing? It's no worse than the branches of a palm tree, which in Shabbos Nun Amud Aleph Ayin Sham are regarded as seats. Meir the Yari Latuma Machshab Amos goes and Tuma even by designation in thought. It's not relevant to everything the Taz brings down. Sham Shasman Tessa base Mashahedi in the Sorim Stoma and Avi the Tashmish. It sounds like even generic planks are suitable for use. This has to be designated for use in order to be Makabel Tuma and become possible for Schach. Rabbi Yosef, the Besifu Ches, Medina Song. Rabbi Yosef writes, this is what we saw before and you referred to previously. That the custom has become not to use planks at all. The minhag is the primary halacha, has become, I guess, primary halacha. Now the minhag is to make ceilings in houses with boards or planks or beams which are less than 4 and even less than 3. Shita is talking wide. And Shita shesh kan zev stikla. So zev stikla applies to normal 2x4s, 1x2s, which are planks or boards finished in a certain shape, in a certain measure. Therefore, I've never heard of anybody using these planks, even if they're very narrow. Came with lattice, so to the lattice work wood. The culminates also it's a wood which has been finished that way. Those who use very tiny beams, which are decorative somehow, it's not acceptable. Whatever Schindler are, I guess they're worse. Shingles, maybe. Place where you can't, there's no choice. You can't get anything else to do use for schach. So you have to go down to your local Home Depot and get, or your Lowe's or whatever. I'm not paid to say either of those names, and get planks which are less than 4 o'clock in the morning. But don't use nails, even those who hold them nails are not a problem because of mamid, or I should say, even those who hold the mamid is not a problem. Not in this situation. Chaygan the bayis gomru, because then it's an absolute house. The pasuk in Athera, which is pasuk the Raisa. In brackets said, we have Ram and Eli Rabba bring that name of good this psak which you just gave. And Mishnah Berurah evidently paskins the same thing. In terms of bracha, there's a question in the poskim, and the Rashba seems to incline that if you're in one of those situations where you can only get those beams, you can still make a bracha, because it's a minhag not to use them. I guess not mikra din. I mean, he said it's a minhag mikra din, but it's still the evidence should be the evidence at least in some way. I guess since the planks would be kosher the raisa, and perhaps even the rabbanan. Just that nowadays the problem, you can still make a bracha. Lamed Gimel. Shonu Chachamim Mishnah. Chachamim learned in the Mishnah. Shipir Saladin. If you put a sheet on it on account of the sun, or tachtem nenesh, or underneath the schach, because stuff is falling down. Psula, it's possible. He said, "When the dafku nenesh, that's when you put on that sheet because of the catch, whatever debris is falling. I'm a nice share, but if you're doing it in order to adorn the sukkah, it's permissible." Rashi will say this is going to, as it is written. They write that if the sheet is in order to protect from the sun, or to prevent the leaves and twigs from falling down you. It's no worse than adornment. Because your intent is down a purpose of schach. So what's the more possible here? It's talking about or the Mishnah. This is what's about. Shilmoli Asadim, where if not the sheet, the sun would dry up the schach. And there would be more sun than shade. And the shira. So when you put it underneath it, because you're afraid of the debris falling down, it's not because you're afraid of debris falling down, but because if not the sheet, you are lino stream. The leaves that fall down, there'll be again more sun than shade. Since the sheet is assisting you to be machshir sukkah, therefore it's possible. We're on also to for decorations kosher came lavassim because besides the sheet, you would still have more shade than sun. According to Rashi Rambam, when it's done for pleasure, for the decoration, is another reason why it's okay. Because somebody who should adorn the sukkah within 4 tvachim, adjacent to the schach, but the sukkah, it's nullified to the sukkah. It's not considered like a separate thing, which because time is associated with Tafresh Chav Zayin. Like we saw, Chamav and a Shira, but he put it there for this to protect from the sun or protect from debris. Have a half stick, it's an interruption. Then you should tell sukkah, you're not staying in the shade of a sukkah. But that's what the Gam Hema having Kiranoisa. This is in the Rosh that is also like adorning it. For Bata Sukkah, it's nullified to the Sukkah. The very cool Myra talks Arba Samach L'Schach. Now, of course, it says, they're all talking about when it's within 4 tvachim of the Schach. The located, if not, B'choli Yom B'sulav. It's more distant, no matter what, it's possible. But now Rashi Rambam came out. She also going to Rashi Rambam. She does going with the Ima Schach HaKosher Koyim L'Sadin. The Goyim hold that if the Schach Kosher Schach came before the sheet, ain't a Sunny B'Slav. She doesn't possible then. Kavisha she does some Yigankin. The Sukkah Shetachas Ilim Somer Timon Tafresh Chavav. Like the whole where a sukkah is on the tree and the tree came later. For Rosh Ava Bisha Bisham Nechlak Aleim, Rosh, even though the ark is there, Hacha Modeh. Here it concedes. Bisham Me'acham Ne'oshir Havikal Oisa, because if you're putting it there for the sun or the debris, it's like to adorn it. Lomi Tam Shaschach Kodim. This is not because of the schach coming first. So, in other words, if you're putting it there for a purpose which is not to adorn, which the purpose of adornment is a machlekes in Rashi and Rambam and the Rosh Taisus and the Rosh, for a purpose not to adorn, then he would depend according to going what came first, the schach or the sheet. But since the Taisus and Rosh have an expanded idea of what to adorn means, for what decoration is, so therefore, in any case, it's a decoration, even if it's for them according to catch the debris or to protect from the sun. If it's not in order to retain the validity of the sukkah, so then it wouldn't matter what comes first. Therefore, even if she came for discussion, and also, just like where decoration, regular, true decoration, which according to Rashi Rambam, the Vadai and Chiluk, there's no distinction. But according to Gonim, if the sheet is 4 tvachim away from the schach, it's kosher if the schach came first. La Rosh and came. According to Rosh, that's not the case. It says in brackets, this is how we resolve the question from tree on this halacha. The halacha of tree on this halacha. Lamed Hey. Rabbeinu says, "See if you test it, Shnei Perushim." So it means 2 interpretations. Shnei Hap Perushim. 2 interpretations of Rashi and Rambam, and the Rosh Taisus and the Rosh. Two Levi Rakli Taisus the Rosh. 2 Levi means the Taisus and Rosh. L'chak Kasvu Zel Shom. Then they wrote as follows: Mil Chatil Le'aseh Elagin Hu Nikol Kol Shemacham K'dei Lagin. Shouldn't do this l'chatchila unless it's obvious to anybody that's in order to protect, which according to us Rosh is a form of decoration to protect you. Or if it's soaked in water, that's clear. You only put it there in order to dry. It says that's only according to Yeshomim, but according to the first opinion, even if you're putting it to dry, it's usher. It says you should be careful not to spread anything to dry unless it's not when you're eating. It's okay, it's true. Okay, and when there's a hecker means when the sun reaches the place where you're sitting. Everybody sees you putting up in order to protect yourself. And unlike the case of where it's wet, when the Mishnah says you're allowed to put it there when it's not a time when you're eating there, this when you're putting something dry there, so then it's not apparent at the time we're not eating, and it's not apparent therefore in any way, and therefore you should not put it even there when you're not eating. When you're eating even as a hecker, it's not appropriate. Sharatzian says according to the second beating, even the time you're eating, it's okay, but it's only according to one opinion. You close this bowl. So ultimately, the entire leniency seems to fall off, because for the short amount of time you should suffer. However, if water is dripping the sukkah, you can't eat there. You can't spread a sheet. Wow. It's better to put up a sheet and then eat outside sukkah. You shouldn't make a bracha. Sharei Medina, Chayra Sharei Medina part. The first sukkah you exempt Medina because it's raining. That's interesting. But even he had a sukkah which could keep out the rain, and I saw a few in Chumin, I think once, how you can make special schach, which is concave and overlaid a certain way that it's not going to be able to rain in your sukkah, but you still couldn't make a bracha because you're potter from sukkah at that time it's raining. I didn't realize that before. Because since you're potter at that time, you can't make a bracha, even though you're sitting in the dry. That's interesting. Sharidina potter, and the Mishnah says also that the dina shouldn't make a bracha. He says your Rabbah says the ikar is like Rabbeinu Tam, that you could put up a sheet and then to protect yourself, and then you would become chayiv in sukkah, and we could make a bracha l'shib sukkah. But evidently, the majority of poskim not hold that way. Since the sheet interrupts, right? So the other Rabbeinu might be okay, but according to Rashi, Rambam won't be okay. Because it's putting on the sheet for protecting from the sun or protecting from debris, which according to them is considered to be, according to Rashi Rambam, is considered to be possible. Taf Reish Lamed, Dine Defono Sukkah, the law of the walls of Sukkah. Av Klub Sulim She'enam El B'Schach, anything which he says possible in the Schach, Dafno is the Sukkah, not in the walls of the Sukkah. She'adfonos She'en because of our walls are kosher no matter what. No matter what substance it's made of. Also, can have more sun than shade in the walls. She said, she writes, if you show me, according to Shami, you have to be careful not to make the walls from something which is Makabal Tuma, or it doesn't grow from the ground. It's also found in Or Zarua. Yushami, Rabbi Leil, Shem, Rabbi Chama, Ksiv, with the coast of Sakapores. You should use the kapores as the schach over the aron, as the covering of the aron. Kasha adam and kore schach. We see that the wall is called the schach. Mikasha shosin fanos b'davar shein makabel tuma, and therefore you have to make the fanos with the davar shein makabel tuma. So as we shall see in Sif Beis, we don't have this Yerushalmi. Fisa Yesh on the Farish, the Hadik time in the Mishnah. Of course, we have to explain now what it says in the Mishnah. Chabile Kash Kulim Kulim Shem with Phonos, that the Zelda Chabile Kash Shem with the rice of Kulim. It's Chabile Kash specifically because the Kash is kosher for the Schach. But Fisa certainly such low lessons that the Phonos we don't Makabel Tuma. When you have to be careful, not to make walls which are from such Kabel Tuma, and glue arts which doesn't grow from the ground, and Kalashar, and go from the other goes Ashri. Years ago, when living in Israel, I think it was in 1970, it's either 1973 or 1974. They were living in a Sertzion in a Kasklita, an absorption center, and we were taken to some forest nearby and to cut down wood for schach. and and we was some rabbi with us, I forget who, and he says, and we asked him, is this enough? Is this enough? Is this enough? He said, no, it's still not enough, still not enough, still enough, more. So we had an astronomical amount, which we didn't really understand why we needed for schach. And he explained to us he thought we're going, according to the opinion, that you have to make the walls of a davar sheni makabel tuma. So therefore, he kept telling us not enough in order until we had enough to make our walls also of these pine branches, which in fact we did, because once he had them, why not? Okay, going on. Arukh HaShulchan says that b'shum posek. So, besides the fact we don't find this any places, but other on the contrary, because Kulam the first half, they're already exactly the opposite. But I'm astonished. A mission for Reshes, it's explicit mission. Also, it's custom in Learnos, and he makes a sukkah between amongst the trees. If I learn the funnel, and the trees are its walls, kshera, it's kosher. If I'm mechuber pasim Torah, well, it's kind of the ground, it's plus in the rice. Because Mukham Mishnah shows sukkah shtaras Elon. Like the Mishnah says, if it's in sukkahs on the tree, it's okay in Karo. But Shami lo kosher k'mo she's bar b'shem. Shami is not a problem, as we shall see. And the truth is, you could answer that question and say the wood is kosher to be in schach, and therefore the fact that it's a mechubar it's the position where you wouldn't be able to use it at the moment. That's like an area of the viola. It's an external psul. So I'm not sure it's raya from the Mishnah of Sukkah. Mishnah of the tree is such a devastating raya. A base. We need to find out Girsa B'Shalmi, but us Girsa B'Shalmi to control seem for us to have a Kabbalah Tumah. It says you can make a tree, you can make a wall to have a Kabbalah Tumah. Vare Girsa Tumah. It's certainly an astonishing Girsa. And first, Nichukul Farish. The first one with difficulty with our Girsa. Be'echum Tam Divram. You can't understand what they're saying. It doesn't seem to have any sense. But I Girsa, of course, B'Dav Shein Kabbalah Tumah Divra Zerua. The primary girsa must be like Rosh's girsa, that you can't be we can't. It says that she'enosim without mekabotum. Like Rosh says, come lo kashaka. That's not different. She'gam b'shan shlon tani. Also, Rosh has learned Torah bar chamasum ruba machmas sichul lo machmas tefaros. The question of the sun which passes, it's only sun on account which is more than the schach, but not more than the walls. Rabbi Yoshua says no, even on account of the walls. My time, Rabbi Yoshua, what's larger? Yoshua see some kosoras paroches. You should same pasuk, right? Paroches mechitzi. The paroches is a wall. The kai rachmana is chacha, and the Torah calls it a covering. Amam mechitzim is schach minus. So we see you need a wall just to be like schach. Rabbanan says hahu the neko beipurta. That is talking about the parocha should be a little bit bent over, but not that the parocha is actually the ceiling. But Allah is like chami. It said Yushami al Rabbi Yoshua. Shami is like Rabbi Yoshua the Torah Yishmehach Kra for that who learns in this pasuk. Rabbanan chokim. Rabbanan argue. No Shnai is saying al Rabbanan. No Shnai is going to Rabbanan. Rabbi Yoshia and the Yerushalmi, Tanahu, we know that he's the one who put together the brises. Upalik, he argues, but the Din is like the Chachamim. And that way, the Yerushalmi comes out to be only according to Rabbi Yoshia. I'm not actually sure what the problem is that Arukh HaShulchan has with Yerushalmi. First of all, going back to Aleph for a minute, says Yerushalmi Lev Rabbi Cham Ksiv Sarkos es Kapores. So the Mefarshim and the Yerushalmi say it should be say paroches, not because that's the proper girsa as he has in Siv base. But if you read the Yerushalmi, it says the kosa aronas paroches mikansha dofen kori schach. Here we see that a dolphin is called a schach. Mikansha seen the photos with davar shumakabel tuma. A dolphin is called a schach, but now I see what his problem is with it. That's interesting. But I see the way you would have to learn it without the change in the girsa would be that since you see that the paroches is considered to be no, you know what? I see his difficulty. I'm looking at my Yerushalmi. I say didn't put a note to Arukh HaShulchan, but I should have. And it makes more sense to change the girsa like he like to the girsa of the Or Zerua and Hagos Eshri.